Ladies and gentlemen, the big beautiful bill has passed the House of Representatives and it's on my desk to sign. So we're going to take a quick look to see what it does for you because it's just so big and so beautiful. But yeah, I wanted to take a look at the piece of legislation that is going to fuck a lot of Americans who don't make over $1 billion a year.
He got his wish. Later today, President Trump is expected to mark this 4th of July by signing the massive spending bill which Congress passed yesterday.
Yeah, the so-called Big Beautiful Bill boosts border security and ICE enforcement. It also increases defense spending, and there are new work requirements and other changes to safety net programs, including SNAP, the food assistance program.
I just think it's noteworthy that how quick the government moves to fund ICE deportation, how quick the government moves to fund the military, how quick the government funds, increase in fascistic government powers, but we can't get student debt relief, we can't get universal health care, we can't get a fair tax policy, but how quickly we move to make sure corporations and the ultra rich get tax breaks, permanent tax breaks.
And Medicaid. The measure passing with a final vote of 218 to 214. And from tax credits to cuts, there's a lot in the Trump spending bill that will directly impact you and your money.
That's why consumer reporter Josh Adorowitz is in your corner with a closer look at the bill. Good morning, Josh.
Hey, good morning to both of you. Yes, well, as the name here implies, this is a massive piece of legislation estimated to add more than $3 trillion to the national debt here over the next decade. That's according to Congress's.
The whole argument of Trump's campaign was to investigate the fraud, waste, and abuse in the federal government. That's why we had Doge. So how does it make sense that you guys are going to, and by you guys I mean Trump supporters, are going to vouch for a piece of legislation that adds $3 trillion to the deficit?
His own analysis. That same analysis also says it will result in the loss of health care coverage for millions of Americans. For others, there are some provisions that might put some money back into your pocket. On average, according to a Tax Policy Center analysis, households next year could see about a $2,900 reduction in their federal taxes. Ultimately, though, that will vary widely based on your income, with the highest earners estimated to benefit the most. But Katie Labasco, a tax policy expert with the nonpartisan nonprofit Tax Analysts, argues that many taxpayers may not notice much of a difference at all. Here's why.
What I do like people to keep in mind is that a lot of this is extending tax cuts that they already have. So they may not notice this $2,900 decrease. They are extending tax cuts that were put in place in 2017.
Yeah, many of these tax cuts enacted under President Trump's first term were set to expire then here, guys, at the end of this year.
All right, so tell us what this means about some of the new tax breaks.
Yeah, so there's some big deductions here and changes to know about, starting with this for obviously tipped workers or those who get overtime pay. They could deduct now thousands of that extra pay from their federal income taxes, up to $25,000 in cash tip income and up to $12,500 in overtime. If you're buying a new car, as long as it's American made, you can now deduct up to $10,000 in interest from the loan for that vehicle. At the same time, the seniors 65 and older, they get a $6,000 boost to their standard deduction. These are all temporary, though, through 2028. But for many parents.
And that's another thing to note. These are all temporary through 2028, and they also don't go into effect until, I believe, 2026, which was right around the midterm elections. So these are things to note when it's time for us all to vote again next year for House of Representatives and for local elections. Remember the party that cut your grandmother's health insurance. Remember the party that did not address anything about the cost of living crisis, but chose instead to give those benefiting from the cost of living crisis even more money. Don't forget the party that was chanting USA as it was cutting funding for food stamps and hungry families. Remember that. Remember who was the one that was championing this. And also remember who were the ones that weren't putting up a fight, that weren't that chose to do theatrics instead of anything else that would have been effective in stopping this piece of legislation. Because, of course, the Democrats do what they do best, and they do these dumb, showboaty, dramatic scenes or performances that don't really have any actual political results or any power in terms of what they're doing, because you have Chuck Schumer, who is touting that he was able to change the name of the fucking bill from Big Beautiful Bill to the Big Ugly Bill or whatever the fuck. And then you have Hakeem Jeffries, who went on a 8 or 9 hour filibuster in order to delay the vote, but the vote was inevitable anyway.
We're going to press on. We're going to press on. We're going to press on.
And people can say that you're being overly critical of Hakeem Jeffries, but my question is, what did Hakeem Jeffries say or do that communicates to the American people what the response will be to them losing their health insurance? Can the average American say, or is there some kind of slogan or anything that the Democrats or message that the Democrats have conveyed to the American people of their plan to combat this shit? I don't know. I don't even think people know that Hakeem Jeffries gave a fucking speech. You stood up there for 9 hours and said what?
We're going to press on for our children, press on for our seniors, press on for our veterans, press on for our unions, press on for our farmers, press on for our dreamers, press on for working class Americans, press on for the middle class, press on for all who aspire to be part of the middle class, press on for the poor, press on for the sick, press on.
So I'm guessing the message is press on. What does that mean? What does press on mean? Press on tie? Like, what the fuck does that mean? People are going to die, and you're just saying words.
For the afflicted. Press on for the least.
Why don't you press on a fucking endorsement for Zoran Mamdani so we can take care of the American people? He's someone who's at least pitching plans that is going to at least take care of the sick and the poor and the people that you're saying you want to press on for.
Press on for the lost. Press on for the left behind. Press on for the rule of law. Press on for the American way of life. Press on for democracy. We're going to press on until victory is won.
What was their responses? Hold on, I want to see what their responses were. This is deliver remarks. Okay. This is what they said afterwards.
You know, Ronald Reagan said one time that no speech should be longer than 20 minutes, and unlike the Democrat leader, I'm going to honor my colleague's time and be a little more brief than that, all right?
And what's crazy is, like, bro, it is not hard. You're allowing the Republicans to have this moment of feeling good for themselves. But the Republicans suck at having charisma. They are cringy. They are, let alone how destructive their policies are already, but just on the basis of they're fucking cringy and gross and weird. No matter whatever legislative wins that Mike Johnson may have, he will never have the charisma of being like a true evil person. Like, I cannot take these fucking clowns seriously, and the Democrats don't either. They don't either, and they're the ones that are supposed to take them seriously and do something about this. No one has motion. No one has motion except for Trump. That's it. No one has motion except for Trump, and motion gets shit done.
To say something that many of us learned when we were children. We were taught, you know, it takes a lot longer to build a lie than to tell the simple truth.
Whoa, that's what I'm talking about. The Democrats, they're lying when they say that this bill's going to kill millions of Americans. It's going to kill billions of Americans.
My friends and colleagues on both sides of the aisle, we've waited long enough. Some of us have literally been up for days now. But this day is a hugely important one in the history of our nation. We have a big job to finish, and that's why we're here on the week of July 4th.
What I don't understand is, how is it fair that these elected officials get to take state subsidied or federalized health insurance, federalized food assistance, but their lunches are paid for, their health insurance is paid for. They also have retirement packages that are paid for. By who? So how does it make sense for Republican voters to support officials who are going to take away benefits they themselves enjoy? Make it make sense, please.
Just a day before now, America's birthday. It was on that fateful day
Are we even going to see? I have a very sinking feeling that there's something truly vile and truly evil that they're planning for the 250th birthday of this country. And I could be a skeptical, paranoia, schizophrenic, but I just feel like, knowing who Donald Trump is and how cartoonishly evil everyone in his administration is, there's something unbelievably cruel and harmful coming next year. We are 6 months in, and they've already dismantled the middle class and the lower lower income class tax brackets, right? So fast forward, 12 months from now, where are we going to be?
The Democrat leader acknowledged that our founders pledged their lives and their sacred honor to this grand experiment in self-governance that we are now here to steward. It's an experiment that falls to us to guard and to protect it.
Yeah, I don't care what Mike Johnson has to say. Donald, look at all the people, Donald. I don't like to look at the people, Donald. What are we going to do about all these poor people, Donald? Don't worry, Melania. After I send this piece of paper, they're all gonna go bye-bye. Thank you so much, my beautiful husband.